Let's look at a few more applications of using the percent of change equation. We have the following example. The enrollment at a local university increased from 13,000 students in 2012 to 14,000 students in 2013. Okay, we want to know what is the percent change of enrollment. What is the percent change of enrollment from 2012 to 2013? Okay, so this is what we want to find. So let's go ahead and write our percent change equation. We have the percent of change equals the actual change. We learned this in the previous video. Equals our actual change divided by the original amount. Okay, this is our percent of change equation. Now, in our example, what are we solving for? We want to know the percent of change of enrollment. So we're actually going to be solving this in this form. In the previous section, we were solving for actual change before we can actually find our answer. But here, our equation's already set up for our question. So we're going to know the percent of change. So we're going to let x equal the percent of change. That's what we want to find, the percent of change of enrollment. So we want to know what the actual change and the original amount is. So we're going to have x equal the actual change. What's the actual change? It actually went from 13,000 to 14,000. So if we want to know the actual change, we subtract the final amount from the original amount. So 14,000 minus 13,000 will give us our actual change. And then the original amount was 13,000 we started with in 2012, so 13,000. And we can solve this. X equals 14,000 minus 13,000 is 1,000. And this makes sense because our enrollment increased 1,000. And we have 13,000 was our original amount. Here we can cancel some zeros. Make our calculations much easier. And actually, this is our only calculation. 1 over 13. 1/13 is actually the fraction of our percent of change. So our answer needs to be in percent since we are asked for the percent of change. So all we have left to do is convert our fraction to a decimal and tack on a percent sign. Okay, so 1 over 13 is the same as 7.69%. And we always want to put a plus, and this is our percent of change. We always want to put a sign because when we're dealing with percent of change, it can either be positive or negative. Even if it's positive, we want to put our plus sign because it went up a certain percent. So this is very important when we're dealing with percent of change equation. Let's go ahead and do another one. Let's look at another example. Let's say a particular stock is trading at $24.79. Okay, so we have a particular stock trading at $24.79 per share. At the end of the year, the stock is trading. Ended up trading at $21.23. Excuse me, $21.23. What was the percent change for the year for the stock? So we want to know what the percent change is again. And again, we actually have our formula already set up for this type of problem. So we're going to let x equal the percent change that we want to solve for. So our formula x equals the actual change. We need the actual change here, so it's our final amount minus our original amount. The amount at the end of the year, our final amount was $21.23, and our original amount was $24.79. Okay, so this will give us our actual change that occurred during the year. And this is divided by our original amount, which was $24.79. And we simply solve this, which will give us our percent of change. 21.23 minus 24.79 is a minus 3.56. divided by 24.79. Okay, and this will give us a minus 14.36%. And that is our percent of change for the stock for the year. It went down 14.36%. Once again, don't get excited when you have a negative percent sign or negative percent of change. It's perfectly fine. It actually makes sense because the actual change of the stock was negative for the year. So positive or negative, be sure to tack on the not only the percent sign, but the actual positive or negative sign, and that tells us that the percent change of something, either it went up or it went down. So very important to keep our sign attached to our percent of change problem. So we have our percent of change equation. This is our formula that we're using. We want to identify keywords such as end, or increased, or decreased, or 15% off, or such and such percent was increased. We want to identify keywords and just plug and play. Just plug into our equation, and we know how to solve things like this. We'll do a few more examples in the next section. See you then.